Hey y'all, Sage Damon here with a more so personal video where I go over some of the JRPGs that mean the most to me. While I may not give all of these games 10 out of 10, these games were ones that made me who I am today when it comes to being a JRPG enjoyer. From here in my normally scripted content, I will be leaving the script today and just speaking from the heart on why I cherish these titles. Final Fantasy III back in 2006 whenever it got its 3D remake on the DS. This game was one of my first JRPGs. It was the one that really got me into the sphere of JRPGs. The way that the job system worked, the way that you could really think about how to take on a boss, where at the time, most of what I was playing was series-based games or movie tie-in games like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, things of the like. Before I really became a Final Fantasy fan, this game sort of brought me into that whole sphere of JRPGs, not just video games. The times I had with this game I'll always cherish just because it was sort of my real entrance into that sort of sphere of things. With JRPGs and the such, leading to me having almost beat all of the mainline Final Fantasies. I'm gonna try to get through all of them relatively soon. I'm going to stick to maybe one or two a year. I've just got Final Fantasy 8, 9, and 13 to go through. Next up, one that doesn't normally get brought up in conversation of JRPGs, but this one is definitely one that I remember fondly. Naruto Path of Ninja 2 came out in 2008, also for the Nintendo DS. Can you tell what I played mostly as a kid? This game follows the tale of Naruto with a sort of made-up story facing certain mirrored enemies that sort of bring enemies from the past back. And this takes place post Sasuke's retrieval arc, so big surprise, Sasuke is one of them. All leading up to one big boss fight with a giant demon. That's what I mainly remember from it. And other than that, it had a turn-based combat system where you're moving your ninjas across a board. You're using different jutsus, different attacks, different team combos, get you different bonuses. One thing I definitely remember is how many times I had gotten the game. So I had initially gotten it from a family member. That family member then stole that, well, they had given it to me, then stole it. Then I got the game again. That same family member stole that copy. And yeah, I just need to pick up that game again and go through it. I do have a convention that I'm going to in a couple months, so hopefully I can find like a CIB copy of the game there. It's probably like a $20 game, but still, just one that I'm looking for. Next up, releasing in March of 2020, Persona 5 Royal. So this one was a sort of birthday present to myself. In 2020, I had picked up not only the Persona 5 Special Edition, I had also ordered the Persona 5 Royal Special Edition. These games definitely taught me about the grind with having to go through and play for 100+ hours to get like the true ending and whatnot. But it also showed me my favorite characters in the Persona franchise and what I look for whenever it comes to like team composition, optimization of a JRPG. It had also come out at a time whenever, the world going into shutdown, so I had nothing but time to sit around and play games, and it was then that I decided that I want to go through a backlog of JRPGs that I had gotten to. And honestly, it kind of started with games like Persona 5 Royal that got me onto this backlog journey. I'd played a lot of Smite 1 at the time. I had fallen out of that at a point, and then had gotten involved in a community for Final Fantasy XIV. Had gone through that. I had started that in between the Stormblood and Shadowbringers expansion. So I remember having to use, what was it called? TP, like technical points for your melee to use their skills. But getting off topic, going back to Persona 5 Royal, just the way that this game tells its story, the way that the characters interact with each other, the way that whenever it comes to the true ending, you see characters who don't feel the need to act anymore, and you see the true colors of these characters, mainly talking about, well, I'll keep it spoiler free, but if you know, you know. Definitely excited to celebrate the Persona 30th anniversary. Going to be keeping an eye on that and trying to make my way through some of the older Persona titles. As I've gone through Persona 3 Portable, 3 Reload, 4 Golden twice, then Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. I've also got this weird relationship with Persona, which may make some of you all force me to play some of the games. The first one that I had gone through was Persona 5. I had taken some time with it after getting sick, nearly dying, recovering. I had sort of taken my time with Persona 5 Royal, with Persona 5. And the day after I had beaten the game, it may have been like a day or so after I had beaten the game, Royal got announced. I had beat Persona 4 Golden originally, nothing happened at the time. I beat Persona 3 Portable. The next day, Reload got announced. And then, last year, whenever I was going through Persona 4 Golden, there were rumors on the horizon about all of these JRPGs getting remakes announced for them, and Persona 4 Golden was one of them. We weren't sure at the time if we were actually going to get it or not, seeing as remakes in the JRPG sphere is kind of hit or miss on whether we're actually getting it or not. I mean, nobody expected a dot hack game in the year 2026. But as I'm playing through it, and then getting close to beating it, then they announce the remake for Golden. So I guess I just need to play all of the Persona titles, and then we'll get our remakes for them. Been talking about Persona 5 Royal for a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and steer away from that, but that game is definitely going to hold a spot in my heart for how I view certain character tropes, certain antagonistic character types. Next up, Fire Emblem Awakening. Released in 2013, I remember getting my 3DS and playing the demo of the game that took you through, I believe, like the first 2 chapters. I was in high school at the time of Awakening releasing, so I remember getting it, playing it, and it took me a while to actually get through the game. I had sort of dragged my feet at the time with playing any game, as I was sort of bouncing around between different titles at the time and not really beating anything. But going back and finishing up Fire Emblem Awakening from about the quarter of the way through the game point, and going at it with a mindset of how tactical JRPGs are, what I need to be looking out for, how to calculate different things, made me think more about these type of games from a strategic standpoint. These games are punishing if you let them be. But after playing some of the other Fire Emblem games, I can definitely say that Awakening is probably the second easiest, really. I mean, nothing's going to beat how easy beating Fire Emblem Engage was. I will also say this game definitely gave me irreversible damage as far as loving the uh, the goth characters of JRPGs. Next up, Xenoblade Chronicles 1. This game stuck with me. I had blasted through the game much faster than I was told that I should be beating the game at. It's a game that we weren't even sure if we were going to get initially. I had played it on the Switch version, which had gotten released, but we weren't even sure if we were going to get it, as it had released in Europe and Australia and other countries, but it didn't seem like North America was going to get it until fans launched Operation Rainfall to convince Nintendo to bring, let's see here, it came out as like a big bundle thing. Xenoblade Chronicles, The Last Story, and Pandora's Tower. This movement is one that I will always be thankful for because of what they were able to do. They were able to show Nintendo that, hey, the North Americans want JRPGs. We want these titles. So if it wasn't for Operation Rainfall, we might not see certain series that we've come to love be released over here. I think one thing that sticks with me with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is the way that the characters deal with despair. That's a big overarching theme of the early parts of the game and parts of the late game, where they are food for the mechons and there's nothing they can do, and then seeing somebody cut down right in front of you and just seeing how you react to it. And I think that Shulk perfectly encapsulated just the pure, uncontrolled rage while keeping himself within reason. He knew that he wanted the mechon dead. He had the means of doing it. And then it does the JRPG thing of making you wonder who is who, what is what, who is bad, do we need to kill a god, is there a cat to rescue? All of these tropes that we see in JRPGs that we tend to make fun of the series is for. Another thing for me is the music. Perfectly captures every area's feeling. And then the battle music, don't get me started on that. I will go off for a minute on that, and this video is probably getting long enough as is. I appreciated what this series has done to JRPGs in general, and I can't wait to continue through them. I'm going to be starting Xenoblade Chronicles 2 probably here in about a month or so. And I'll give you all my thoughts at the time that I get done with it and see how it holds up compared to the first. And lastly, for the sixth, big surprise, Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. All of my friends are tired of me talking about it. I'm sure y'all are tired of me talking about it. But I'm still going to be talking about this series until I'm done and there's nothing left. If Final Fantasy III was the sort of beginning of me getting into JRPGs, then Trails of Cold Steel was sort of the renaissance, the rebirth of me playing JRPGs. And as of me recording this and going and finding release dates, I found out that whenever it released in the United States, that it had released on March 26th, which happens to be my birthday. So it's another reason for me to love the series even more. It brought me into a long, overarching story that takes place over multiple different arcs that you can play through, and now with them going and remaking some of these titles, it just gives more and more people a chance to jump into the series. It's a series that I enjoyed enough to where, while I was out of the country, my main thing wasn't looking for cool souvenirs to get for family, which I did that, but one thing that I was looking for the entire time was, alright, where's the Trails merchandise? Where's the Trails merchandise? And everything with Trails just gets to me. With the characters, the plot twists, the music, the political themes of it, the battle system, the orbment system, which seems to change every couple of games, the new mechanics that they build upon from previous titles, just gives you a feeling like you can break the game if you're willing to put in the amount of time needed to make certain character builds or mess around with different orbments. I'm sure if it wasn't for me getting into something like the Trails of Cold Steel, that I may not be as into JRPGs as a whole and could probably still be playing other not RPG games at this time, like playing Smite or Overwatch, or maybe even playing League of Legends. Probably not going to do that. The way that these games bring all of these characters together, the way that you get little references to previous titles, sort of brings everything together into one big cohesive series. And it was a chance encounter too for me. I had joined a JRPG Discord and I was talking with people and I kept hearing Trails get brought up. Well, I had gone to my local GameStop and I had picked up Tales of Vesperia, which was a game that an old buddy of mine had recommended to me time and time again. And then I had seen the collector's edition for Trails of Cold Steel 1, so I was like, hey, you know what? I see this game, let me go ahead and pick it up and I'll give the series a try. Not knowing how deep this game series went. As far as I was aware at the time, there was only 3, maybe 4 games out at the time, and little did I know that it was much larger than that. But I will always be thankful for Trails and for Nihon Falcom for bringing this series over to us, and it is a series that I will truly cherish. Alright everybody, that is all for today's video, talking about the games I cherish. Let me know what games got you into JRPGs, what games you cherish as a whole in the comments below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.